This is EBS TV Reloaded.
Your systems are offline.
Edo State government, under the leadership of His Excellency Godwin Nogegase Obaseki, is blazing the trail of development in line with the mega agenda. All sectors of the state's economy are being repositioned for the prosperity of Edo people, from education to health, agriculture to sport, you name it. Only one program brings you details of these developments and more, and that is Edo Executive Platform, a program designed to relate government's efforts in repositioning Edo State. So, join Felix Osagede and Sarah Igubo
Greetings to you all. Good morning and welcome to EBS TV Reloaded. This is Edo Executive Platform and my name is Igubo Sarah. And of course, like you know, I am not here alone. Felix is here with me. Good morning, Felix.
Good morning, Sarah.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, I'm doing well.
I can see that.
Thank you so much. Viewers, it's my pleasure to be here again on this wonderful day on Edo Executive Platform. Of course, you know, this is a program we bring to the fore government policies and activities in repositioning Edo State. Do not say I told you. A lot is going to be happening on the program this morning. Sarah, it's over to you.
Okay, with just 6 days to the Edo Summit, Alagodaro 2022. It's going to be exciting because we saw that Dangote, amongst other big whip, are going to be storming Edo for the summit. And you know, with so much at line, it's going to be an interesting one. So don't go anywhere. Just sit back and relax. When we come back, we are going to be talking about issues, and we are going to be having a wonderful and amazing Amazon that will tell us what they are doing in JOOPSA. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'll let you know who the guest is. We'll be right back. Welcome back from this break, and for those that are just joining, this is Edo Executive Platform. So before we go into the main business of the day, let's quickly look at some of the trending stories in the government cycle. One of it is Obaseki signs justice sector reforms. So let's quickly take a listen to the clips.
Today is a very, very significant day for us in Edo State. Significant because we today have succeeded in some real bold moves to enact laws or revise laws in areas we haven't done for the last century in some cases, and in others for the last half a century. So today what we have done is signing the Justice Sector Reform Law, Team Law, and the new criminal law in Edo State, for me, is a real watershed and a milestone. Over the years, the lack of adequate coordination among the judicial institutions in our state have created a major problem in the administration of justice, not only in our state, but also across the country. The effect of this lack of coordination is felt in very many ways, including the delays in prosecution of cases, congestions in our prisons, large proportions of awaiting trial prisoners, lack of cohesive action for effective delivery of justice, inefficient use of our scarce resources as judicial institutions embark on improvement initiatives. And we can go on and on and on. But we believe that with this justice sector reform team bill, it will bring together all these critical stakeholders in the justice sector to deal with issues within the sector with a view to significantly reducing, if not eliminating, the delays in the justice sector, improve cooperation and coordination in the planning and implementation of the justice sector reforms. In line with the no-tolerance stance of this administration against sexual offenses, the law on the offense of rape has, by this new enactment, been strengthened to deal with the prevalence of the offense and its diverse manifestations. New offenses have also been created in this new law to close some gaps in the current legal framework. We've had a very strange situation in Edo State where there were no criminal penalties to anybody who is who's putting up any building in a built environment space. At best, there was a slap in the hand, fines if people built homes without building approval. This law now makes it an offense, punishable by some sentence and fines, if any citizen, anyone, embarks on constructing any property without having duly obtained the required building approvals for that building. What we have today, sir, is our city is just growing into an urban jungle where people just decide on what they want to build, where they want to build, without any recourse to any law. With this law which we put in place and another we are expecting to be promulgated soon, we will now be able to have real sanity in our built environment space.
Edo State has gotten new laws that will make the judiciary more effective and the state safer for Edo residents as well as investors. Now, with just 6 days to the Edo Summit Alagodaro 2022, a lot is happening in Edo State at the moment, and the summit is scheduled to take place November 11, 2022 to Sunday, November 13th, 2022. And the theme of this year's Alagodaro Summit is Edo's Transformation Partnership, Resilience, Impact. This is a very powerful topic, theme. What do you think, Felix?
Well, for me, Alagodaro Summit has been a platform for development. During the summit, you are going to be seeing business moguls, captains of industry trooping into Edo State to discuss business. And to think that this is the 6th edition, for me, is a blessing. And Edo State is getting better for it. Whatever that will be discussed at that summit, whatever I will do, will leave us a lasting legacy. Things that generations yet unborn will come and benefit from. So it's a summit I'm very passionate about. I can't wait for it to start. It's starting on Friday 11th and we're almost there. So I believe that for something of this magnitude, it is imperative that we know how it all started.
Yes.
We should see how it all started and how we have been able to sustain it, up to now, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 6th edition. This is not something to joke with. All right, we'll take a little clip. Let's see how it all started in 2017, where His Excellency spoke and how it all began. Alagodaro Summit, as we're having the 6th edition. Take it away, PD.
Edo State is unarguably Nigeria's best kept investment secret. Endowed with the human, material, and locational advantage to galvanize investments from across various sectors of the Nigerian economy, Edo holds the potential to become Africa's most prosperous sub-national. With an underperforming economy that was largely agrarian, the state's growth trajectory was severely hampered. In 2016, when Governor Godwin Obaseki took on the saddle as the chief executive of Edo State, it was clear that a lot of changes were required if the state was to have a fair chance at survival, as Governor Obaseki had had a clear vision to transform Edo into an economic hub. It was certain that there was a pressing need to recalibrate the state's economy and retool the business environment to attract private capital. One of the critical interventions to achieve the radical change Governor Obaseki sought is the Alawudaro Summit series, a yearly gathering of private investors in Edo State to fashion out policy directions and reform pathways to improve the state's competitiveness among its peers and enhance the ease of doing business.
The future which our people seek is that we should continue to encourage and reconcile ourselves with the present to advance into the future. That is the rationale for this summit titled Alagodaro. We have decided to mark our first anniversary not in the traditional manner of self-adulation and commissioning of projects. Rather, we chose to use this opportunity of this celebration to mobilize intellectual and resourceful acumen of our people and friends so that we can strategize and envision a future of a state that is prosperous and productive.
The Alagodaro Summit over the years has attracted investment into Edo State, and with the fact that in few days time we will be seeing various investors trooping into Edo, Captain Industries amongst others, to talk about the theme of this year. I think that is a very interesting one, and we look forward to welcoming our guests, and also get to know what is happening in the government circle, because some of the policies and discussions in the various panel sessions have been able to shaping this government in a very positive manner, and I hope we hope to learn more, to know a lot of things that will be happening. But guess what? We have a special guest that will be joining us very soon, and her name is Madam Precious Imuwahen. She'll be joining us shortly after this break to talk about some of the achievements of JOOPSA. I know a lot of persons will be wondering, what is JOOPSA? So don't go anywhere. When we come back from the break, we'll have a discussion with her. We'll be right back.
Readying itself for investors, the state government transformed the civil and public service by initiating lasting institutional reforms to retool and digitize the service to make it nimble, responsive, and functional. With this, the civil service has been made to respond swiftly to the needs of investors and deliver optimal public service to Edo people. Governor Obaseki acknowledges the need for a strong human capital base to drive the state's economy. This is why he invested heavily in human capital development with the Edo Basic Education Sector Transformation Edo Best program. Under the program, the state has recorded tremendous changes at the basic education level. Not less than 15,000 teachers have been trained to deploy technology in delivering lessons to over 300,000 pupils in public schools. The World Bank and the World Economic Forum have recognized Edo State as a leading subnational in tackling learning poverty in the world, readying itself for investors. The state government transformed the civil and public service.
Welcome back. This is Edo Executive Platform, and joining us here in the studio to talk about the John Odigie Oyegun Training Academy is no other than the Managing Director, Madam Precious Imuwahen Ajoonu. She is the Managing Director of the John Odigie Oyegun Public Service Academy. Good morning, ma. You're welcome to the show. It's good to have you.
I'm glad to have you, ma.
Good morning, Sarah.
Madam Precious Imuwahen is the pioneer Managing Director of the John Odigie Oyegun Public Service Academy, Edo State, Nigeria. She was appointed to drive the operationalization of the academy in the global standard. Her vision is to make the academy a leading learning hub for civil and public servants in Africa. Precious was formerly the head of youth engagement and learning at JOOPSA, Nigeria. She has a very powerful resume, but because of time, we will not be able to dive into it. Ma, you're welcome once again to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. There is no doubt that you have a very robust resume, and we're glad that you are part of the show this morning. Now, looking at the John Odigie Oyegun Public Service Academy, there is no doubt it's the training arm of the civil service, and for me, it's our pride because not many people in this clan, have that academy or that kind of academy, especially the subnationals around us. They don't have it. Is it just a training arm, or you want to tell us more about the John Odigie Public Service Academy?
Thank you so much, Sarah and Felix, for having me. You're right, there are not too many subnationals that have gone the way that we're going. One of the challenges with transformation is sometimes it appears that you might not find a lot of the benefits ab initio. Many of the benefits of the Governor Godwin Nogegase Obaseki-led administration will show not now, but in 10 years, in 20 years, and way into the future. So it's a bit rare that you will find politicians, so to speak, going the direction of upskilling and saying, let us invest in the civil and public service. And the governor's vision is this. He calls the civil and public service the engine of government. And if you think about your car and the engine, if the engine is faulty, you're not going to be able to run your vehicle. So we see the training gaps, and instead of just sitting down and doing nothing about it, this academy is being set up to primarily tackle these skills gap in Edo State first and foremost, and then by extension other subnationals and Africa. So that's why we have the John Odigie Oyegun Public Service Academy in Edo State, and we're very proud of that.
All right. Since absorption of office, how has it been for you? Because I looked at your CV. You have not been a public service person. Now you are coming into the public service, cycle. How has it been for you?
Correct. So it's interesting. I am a lifelong student, and if you are privileged to work for the likes of our governor, who is himself a visionary leader. I still remember the first time I met him, and all I was thinking of was, wow. One time he came to the academy, and I told him this: I feel like a kid in a candy store. I'm not doing learning or training as a one-hit thing. No, this is my lifelong ambition. So yes, I've come from the private sector and I've come into the public sector, but I'm still working in the sphere that I understand and I've mastered over the years. So there's a lot of excitement for me, and there's a lot of things for me to learn. I often joke with my staff that even if it's just memo writing, you know, when you are writing to the governor and you say, oh, Your Excellency may recall, that's not how we speak in the private sector. So I'm also learning from the civil and public servants, and they're also learning from me. So for me, it's exciting. And as a Bini girl, you know, it's a unique privilege to be able to come back to the land of my birth, to serve Edo in this capacity. I consider it such an honor. I want to do great work. You know, I want to build a school. I want the governor's vision to come to life so that years down the line, my children will come back and they will be able to say, way, you understand? It was my mom, you know, who partnered with the visionary of our time, and it brought this thing to life. So that's why I'm here, and it's a very exciting job to have.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. And a lot of persons have been wondering, what is JOOPSA? What is JOOPSA? I know who have mentioned it, but I want them to hear it from you directly. Tell us about JOOPSA, and tell us what's your mission, what's your vision, you know, for JOOPSA.
Yes, so it's interesting, right? It's the Odigie Oyegun Public Service Academy, and I still remember the first time I was in a meeting with His Excellency, and they said it was a meeting with JOOPSA, and he said he thought it was a company. So no, JOOPSA is just short form, just like you have Uniben, an acronym, exactly. So it's JOOPSA, and we want that to stick. In terms of our vision, it's quite simple. We want to strengthen public service institutions in Africa through capacity building. You know, we have so many different challenges in Africa depending on how you're looking at it, and especially in Edo. And one of the gaps that we've seen is it's not a lack of natural resources. Africa is one of the most blessed continents in the world, but it's a lack of a thinking capacity, you know, the mindset of the people. Our people live here and they go elsewhere and they do so well. Yes. Our people live here, the same people, nothing has changed, and we go elsewhere and we do so well. So we want to bridge that gap. We want to train people. We want to upskill and retool people so that we are able to strengthen our institutions. We want to move away from having strong men and women in Africa and going to the point where you have strong institutions. In England, the other day, I mean, this year alone, they've had how many prime ministers? But the institution remains. That's where we must go to. And that's what we want to do through capacity building, upskilling, retooling our people, making sure that they're relevant for today and, of course, by extension for tomorrow. So that's the vision in a nutshell.
Okay. Now, you recently inaugurated the interministerial counterpart team for JOOPSA. Can you throw more light on it? What's it about?
Yeah. So His Excellency, recognizing how important JOOPSA is, you know, when you talk about the full institutional reforms and then you start to talk about the transformation. Luckily at JOOPSA, we're working with one of the best technical partners on this side of the Atlantic as far as I'm concerned. It's a team led by Dr. Joaba, and you know, and we are trying to operationalize JOOPSA. There are two ways, as someone who studied change management and you know had a first class in that, there are two ways you can do change. I can come and say I studied change management in England, I understand this thing, and we put a template. Another way to do it is to ask the civil service, the civil and public service, how do you do training currently? Situational awareness, you know, what is it that you are currently doing? So in that interministerial team are directors of training and HR across all MDAs, So we've formed a strong change coalition led by His Excellency to say, this is how we currently do training in the service. This is where we want to go. And then we're coming. So that team is going to help us co-create JOOPSA. We're going to be co-creating JOOPSA with the INCT team, which is why that inauguration was very important for us.
Okay, recently when I got to the training academy, I noticed a lot of facelifting. The atmosphere itself, you know, starting from the reception, you know, how do you put all these things to, you know, to give that world class? We've been saying, yes, we're doing this, we're training, we're doing this, but coming inside the academy, you seal the edifice. How did you think about, you know, let's use your words, retooling? How did you think about, you know, redesigning the interior of the academy?
Thank you so much. There are two things that we can do with a training institution. You can make it a training institution, or you can make it a citadel of learning. And learning is continuous. Training, you collect your certificate and you go. But learning is a continuous process. So the thinking of His Excellency is this: how do we create an institution that provides a learning experience for people? So I'm happy that you've observed that. So you come into JOOPSA and first there's some sort of cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
This is a different place. This is not business as usual. Environment is crucial for learning.
Of course.
If you take a fish out of water, it will die. So you're not going to learn beyond the capacity of your environment. And that's why we've deliberately done what we did with JOOPSA. And I'm very happy to get this feedback. So when you come into JOOPSA, first you see the books and all of that. So it almost disabuses your mind, and it tells you that I have come into a place where I am here to learn, and learn I shall. So that is the whole thinking.
Now, let's look at it from this angle. What is the plan? Is it that you want to be training civil servants and public servants in Edo alone, or you train people from other states, workers of other states?
Thank you so much. You know what they say about a goldfish? It has no hiding place.
Yeah.
And we are still, we just started this year, and we're already getting strong, commitments from other subnationals saying they want to bring people to Edo to come and learn at JOOPSA. So whilst we would like to keep it to ourselves, it will be impossible to do so.
Okay.
So we will primarily train the Edo State civil and public servants, but of course, we are going to extend to other subnationals for sure.
Okay, it's been an interesting conversation so far. So we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, the discussion continues. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is still Edo Executive Platform, and of course we have the amazing Amazon, Madam Precious Imuwahen Ajoonu. She is the MD of JOOPSA. We've been having an interesting conversation, so the conversation continues. Felix, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, conversation continues, discussion continues. Honestly, what I see today when I drive into JOOPSA is an amazing environment, a hub where you feel relaxed. It gives you a sense of belonging, that this is our own. Like you said a while ago, your children in the future will say Imuwahen.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's something that everybody should be proud of. Now let's look at it this way. Despite the fact that you are coming from a private sector, you must have been monitoring activities of Edo State government from far. Maybe not now that His Excellency is in charge, Godwin Obaseki, but maybe in the past. Of course, you are from here. I want to believe that you kept a tab on activities. Now, what can you say exactly, is the uniqueness of this present administration compared to what we have had in the past?
It's so many different things, but I think I'll just start from the Togba movement. My mom, who would normally stay at home on election day, went to vote. And as far as I was concerned, that was massive. And she said to me, Togba, it was that simple. Ogbane, yes. So it was that simple. And from there, I was interested. And, to come to Edo and start to see the massive development, whether it's infrastructure, and for someone who is an educator like myself, to find a governor, there was already all these reforms in our educational sector, talking about the Edo Best and all of that. I was definitely interested, and to be privileged. I didn't know anybody in government, by the way, and I always like to tell the story. The governor saw my CV, someone, referred, and that's it. And to be privileged to come into government through such a transparent process, I think for me it's something that we should amplify. It's rare. If we continue in this trajectory, who knows where we will be in 30 years as a subnational. The possibilities for Edo are legion.
Okay. Yeah. Just away from the discussion on JOOPSA. Let me go a little bit personal. With your kind of schedule and everything that you've been involved with, how do you manage it with family? You know, kids are there, they have needs, they have, you know, special wants and everything. So how do you manage it?
That's a very unexpected and good question. And as a mom, I identify as a mother first. I think it's important for you to do work that inspires you. Just yesterday in school, my son ran for the position of class prefect. You know, he came second, yes, as an assistant. But I listened to him whilst he was preparing his speech, and he said something. He said, "My mom is making a difference in Edo State, and I want to bring that here." So you want to get to the point where there's almost no separation between work and life. You are doing something that is meaningful. Your children see that, they become inspired by it, and they want to be that. So I'm very lucky. My parents are from here, they live here. So moving back to Benin from Lagos has been a bit easier for me than most. The Owo and Egile still helps. Wow. So yeah, my children are very much a part, and I think they're very lucky also, because now they're getting very close to government at such a young age, and it's inspiring all sorts of different things. So I think I've managed a bit well to merge work and my personal life together.
All right, there's no doubt that a lot is happening, and I want to believe with you that a lot will still happen in the near future. Yes. How would you like to see JOOPSA in, say, 2-5 years from now?
Oh, I get emotional when I am asked this question. I want it to be an institution that would outlive this government. It has to. I want 10 years down the line, you come to Edo, and JOOPSA is mentioned. I mean, think about our very unique niche. We are going to be pushing public service excellence across Africa. I want it to be the place that people come to. When you think Edu tourism, you should think JOOPSA. You should come. I expect JOOPSA to expand from what we have now. Oh yes, I expect us to have an entire village, committed to education. I expect JOOPSA to be the hub that inspires debates. Those days where we could have a pastor, an imam, a politician, and someone else, and then we're having conversations, not conversations that make us angry, but conversations that are civilized enough for us to reach, some of the solutions that were not. So I expect JOOPSA to be an institution that outlives this present government, and this is His Excellency's vision. And I expect JOOPSA to continue the transformation legacy of the Governor Godwin Nogegase Obaseki led government. That is the thinking, and that's what we hope happens.
Okay. Still looking at institutional reforms. Now, what would you say about the reformation efforts in the Edo State Civil Service?
I think it's brilliant. We have, I think what the governor has done with the civil and public service is brilliant. I think we're returning to the days where we would have permanent secretaries that their peers will identify as super permanent secretaries from Edo State. We have a digital head of service, Anthony Okumbawa Esquire, who is extremely committed to the governor's vision. So I don't see the civil service remaining the same. When I take pictures in my office, my friends in the private sector, they ask me, is this a public office? I have air conditioning working, 24/7. My staff tell me they don't want to go home because it's comfortable, in the office. So I don't think that, and the interesting thing about the human mind is, once it has been expanded by new ideas, it's difficult to take it back to what it used to be. So I think it's exciting for the service, and I don't see us going back to Egypt.
What are your plans in terms of, do you plan on hosting other civil servants, public servants from other states, to come to JOOPSA, organize training for them? Is there a plan of expansion and not just naturally just Edo? Is there plans for that? Absolutely.
Our vision is, like I say, our ambition is Africa-wide. Again, we are primarily, proudly Edo, but we are going to serve beyond Edo. I mean, we are building a world-class institution. So I expect people, even from the West, who want to learn about public institutions in Africa to come to JOOPSA and get that knowledge. So are we going to expand? I think it's the answer. It's a no-brainer. We are. Already well on our way.
Your staff members are smart people. they want to continue to enjoy Shop Power Plant because when they get home, they are not sure of anything like that. Okay, that's on a lighter mode, and that's a smart one. All right, let's talk about relationship. You see, when you are working, whether public or private sector, the relationship with people matters a lot. What's your relationship with, heads of MDAs and people that are in the ESCO members generally?
That's a very, very, very good question. You know, as somebody who came from outside, and I am not unaware of my youth, I am still in my 30s. And then to be managing director in a culture such as ours, of an institution as powerful and as important as JOOPSA, it's significant. So I have really, really enjoyed strong support, I must say, from His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, to the Deputy Governor of His Excellency, to ESCO members. I mean, if you came for the inauguration of the IMC team members, you will find that everybody was there, not just the IMC team members. So for me, it shows that it's not about me. Again, we are moving away from whether Imuwahen is there as MD JOOPSA or not. That institution must run. Even when this government ends, this institution must run. And who is going to run it? It's by everybody taking ownership. And that's why, together with our technical partners, we've said, let's build the school together. Let's co-create the strategy. Let's form a change coalition, from His Excellency all the way down to the person who is on, grade level 8 or grade level 1, to say, let us build something that we can collectively be proud of. So in terms of relationships, I would say that in Edo, everybody is full. We have one vision. His Excellency's vision is to make Edo State the best state to live and prosper in by the year
2050. That's where I'm coming from. Do you think that is realistic?
Oh no.
I was just about to ask that.
Oh, I think so. I think so. Let me tell you what's exciting for me. From again how I came into government, that excites me to no end. To the work that we're doing at JOOPSA, if you really want to take people, now I'm going to quote Marcus Garvey, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but who? None but yourselves can free your mind. When you introduce education to an equation, everything is possible. If you've had the privilege to visit the Dubais of this world, the Abu Dhabis of this world, how long did it take them to do all the work that they're doing? It took a visionary leader, and that's something that we have now in Edo. So the possibilities, like I continue to say, they're legion. It now becomes, what can we not do? Not what we can do. So we are well on the right trajectory, and I just hope that we all continue to be on board so that we can get to the destination that we want to get to. So 100% I believe in the vision.
Okay.
It's possible.
While you were speaking, you said you were in your 30s. So my question is, what do you think? What are your takes on your thoughts on youth inclusion and women inclusion in governance in Edo State, particularly in the Governor Godwin Obaseki-led administration?
To be honest, I think our governor has done something that I don't know if anybody else is doing. When you look at education, it's being piloted by a woman, a very strong woman, for that matter. You go to physical planning.
Another strong woman.
Yes, it's another stallion, if you like, sitting down there. And I don't know how he's done it. But, he's managed to put together a very, very strong cabinet of people who are passionate about what it is, because that's something that you cannot buy. A person's passion, that natural belief that this is possible. So I think this is a very inclusive government. I think that our governor, from having a very powerful wife, I've been privileged to listen to her a few times. I'm a fan. To the women he surrounds himself with, you can tell that this is one person who supports gender equality, who believes that they should be, and who believes in youth. We have the youngest head of service in Edo State, the youngest in the entire country. It's unprecedented. I haven't checked, but it's possible somewhere that I'm probably the youngest managing director, of an institution, and that's no mean feat. So for me, it's not just saying it. And that's why it's easy to follow a person like Governor Godwin or Obaseki. It's not saying it, it's in the doing it. That's that's where it's walking the talk. That's what's rare around here.
Well, the way I describe the governor, I describe him as an architect of modern Edo State, and he's anchoring a revolution and turning Edo State around. And I want to believe that God will continue to bless him for what he's doing. Now let's look at the bottlenecks in civil service. Looking at the federal level, at the state level, local government level, there is this bureaucracy. Has that been an issue for you?
Okay, I'm going to answer this honestly. Before I joined, as someone who studied change and innovation, you must, pardon me, my mind works in a certain way. I don't like order very much. I like things to change, I like disruption, I like creativity, I live for that. Wow. And then you take that and then you bring me into the public service. A very bureaucratic organization. Of course, I would struggle, And for the love of me, my thinking is, you want to get something done, and then they say you need to write a memo, and you write the memo to this other person, and then the memo, the memo to write another memo, the memo of 4 memos, and I'm like, no. And I'm like, no, I'm not having this, So initially there was a lot of culture shock. But I'm now beginning to also respect the bureaucracy.
Yes, the process.
The process, the institution, And then, so my thoughts went from, there's something wrong with bureaucrats, to how do we make it more efficient, And if I put that to my own personal philosophy, where I believe that life is a balancing act. So it's not so much of, the private sector works best, the public sector works best. It's how do we balance the acts in such a way that it works for the people that we are called to serve, not a memo to cancel another memo. And we're changing that with eGov. We have an e-governance system in Edo State. So for example, instead of sending the memo to solve another memo you just send it via your computer and you can get feedback. We have WhatsApp group for a lot of, for ESCO, for a lot of, teams and all of that. So information dissemination is faster than I think than ever before. But like I say, I have come to respect the value of having strong bureaucracy, because that's what you have in the in the advanced world, and that's what protects the government and protects institutions from characters that might be unscrupulous.
Is there anything you miss from the old culture of files running around? They will tell you this file is missing, why not bring this one? And now you are doing eGov, network issues at times. What's your take on that?
When you ask this question, it's like asking somebody who just came out of an abusive relationship. Is there something that you miss, from your abuser? The answer is no. I don't think I miss anything from it. And when you make it electronic, you also reduce. It also helps you fight corruption. And then you remove favoritism, because if I have to come and see you to beg you to approve a memo, it creates all sorts of bottlenecks. But if it's electronic, you don't know who, I don't necessarily have to know you. I just need to read the content and then I should do the job. We want people to do their jobs.
So with Alagudaro Summit, that is the Edo Summit coming up in few days time, let's say 6 days time, what are your expectations? What are your thoughts? What do you think the people of Edo State should be expecting from the summit?
I think, the Alagudaro, and I really want to applaud all the organizers, from Anti-Fueco to just everybody who's been working really, really hard to give us quality events year in, year out. I think this is, in Edo, we have a good story to tell. And I think this Alagudaro is to tell the transformation story of our visionary governor. It's a time, one of the things that I like about the governor, and I because I'm like that, but I think now we should start to tell our stories, is walk first and tell the story. But I think we can do more in terms of telling the story. And that's why I'm here. We can do more, because it's not often that these kinds of things are happening, and it needs to be out there. That's somewhere in Africa, in one place called Edo, that was great once. We are returning back to self. We are returning back to our history, and people need to know that. So I think this event should be about telling this good story that we definitely have to tell.
You know, you said something a while ago that your mom is a Togberian. All right, let's talk about the perception of Edo people towards this government. You know, what can you say about that?
I mean, as a, you know, again, as a Benin girl, I cannot say, I mean, I live with my parents now. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of pride. And of course, I have to balance it by saying there's still skepticism. You know, people are a bit shocked. You know, somebody came to see my driver when I was a kid. He came to my office to see me, and he said he can't believe that if I knew what that staff training center was before the governor, you know, took it down and then did what he's done with it, I wouldn't come in there. You know, somebody likened it to like a poultry farm. And there were people walking in there. So I think for people, there is almost, it's almost too good to be true. And then there is some sort of apprehension. Would this continue? That's the question on everybody's minds. When this administration ends, are we going to be able to carry on this legacy? Is it going to be something that continues that's sustained? So there's a bit of that. But I think what I'm learning, and again, we are experimenting it with JOOPSA, is let people own it. The Edo of our dreams cannot be left to be the governor's vision. The governor needs to have an Imuwahen at JOOPSA. He needs to have you here. He needs to have leaders across all spheres, whether it be traditional or in the institutions. All of us firing in the same direction, saying that this thing will succeed. Only then would we continue in the trajectory that we are already in. So, you know, it's a bit mixed, but it's going to now be up to us to allow this thing that has started beautifully continue way into the future. And I think we'll do that.
Do you think that there are certain things that the governor is not doing that he needs to do to aid the fast track development that we are already seeing?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I think the government needs to engage more, for sure. That's why I've been saying that we have a good story to tell. Because you see, and again, it's going to be all of us. We need to tell these stories. People need to know that a Odigie Oyegun Public Service Academy even exists. People need to know that we have over 150 laptops in our academy. We're building an e-school. By next year, we're going to launch a learning management system. So even when you travel to Canada, you can still log on and you will learn.
Get connected.
And get connected and learn at JOOPSA. My internet works at JOOPSA. People need to know that. We have smart TVs at JOOPSA. You need to visit, swipe smart TVs. And I can tell you for free, we are the only institution that has that. When people come for training at JOOPSA, they always say, oh, I would like to buy this at home. And then when they go and check online, they don't come back.
The cost. I trust.
They don't come back.
All right. I know, challenges are part of human endeavor. Yes. And there's no doubt. Are there challenges you really want to share with us?
There are. From, again, you alluded to it, sometimes current bureaucratic process can be a bit difficult. But again, the way to view this, I think, is to stay focused. Okay, great things are not done if we are not focused. So, do the challenges exist? To answer your question directly, they do. But again, my approach is to be focused. We're building an institution, and some of the sweetest stories to tell is when you tell people that you defied all the odds and you ended up doing exactly what you said you would do. That's what's fascinating. And when you have everything set up for you and then you deliver, people expect you to. Yeah. But when the odds are against you and then you still deliver, those are the stories that move generations, and that's what we want to tell.
Okay, just what are your words for Edo people? Just quickly talk to your people that are watching this live program.
I think for me, it would be for us to remember who we are. We're great ones. There are only two kingdoms in the world. It's us and the other one.
Yes.
But it's primarily us.
I like that.
Yes, it's us. And it's to remember that, and it's for us to partner with government, to come together to say, this is our own. I say it about myself. My truest identity is that I'm a Benin girl. I'm proud to say it. We need to go back to that ownership. that place, because you go online sometimes and it's Edo people who are talking Edo down. And yes, it's Edo people talking Edo, tearing it down and all of that. Other states are not doing that. So we need to build it up. It's our own. I almost said argument no, but I can say that it's true. Yes. It's ours. Yeah, you know, so for me it will be, how do we partner? And that's why I took a huge salary discount to do this job, because I have a stake in it. My children have a stake in it. You understand it? They do. So I came and let me do my own. If I do mine, you do yours, and we all do ours, it will add up together and we will get the Edo of our dreams. And that's what we must do.
We want to say a big thank you to you, for creating time from your schedule, to be with us in the studio. So we say thank you very much. And to our audience out there, we want to say a big thank you for tuning in. It's been an interesting and revealing session with the Managing Director of the John Odigie Oyegun Training Academy, JOOPSA. And that is no other than Madam Precious Imuwahen. So thank you very much, Ma, once again.
All right, this is the size of our package on Edo Executive Platform today. The program makes a repeat broadcast on Monday at 2 p.m. Felix Osagide remains my name. Have a lovely weekend. Alaudaro just 6 days away. The next edition of the program will be post Alaudaro Edo Executive Platform. I can't wait to be there at Alaudaro. Thank you very much.
And don't forget that the Edo of our dream is a collective responsibility. While the government of the day play their role, let us as citizens of Edo play our role. Don't worry, we'll see you next week, same time, for another interesting session of the show. Thank you very much. My name is Imbuba Sarah. It's a bye for now.
This is EBS TV Reloaded.
Computer systems are offline.